Growing up, I always had a knack for entrepreneurship. From selling lemonade to mowing lawns, I knew early on that I wanted to be my own boss. After college, I gained experience in various industries, learning the ropes and making connections. Eventually, I saved enough to start my own business. It wasn't easy, but with determination and some luck, I built a successful enterprise. During this time, I met Charlene. She was charming, witty, and supportive of my dreams. We got married, and for a while, life seemed perfect. Charlene chose not to work, focusing on our home and our 2 daughters. Despite growing tensions, I was committed to our marriage for the sake of our children. The reality of our situation hit hard. As a business owner, alimony was inevitable since Charlene didn't work. My love for my daughters made the separation even more painful. Charlene could claim half of my business as part of the alimony, leaving me with just 30% of my earnings. Leaving the attorney's office, I felt defeated. "I've been seeing someone for 8 months, Charlene confessed. "He's a good lover, just different from you. Think carefully before doing anything. Go see a lawyer. Your life will be hell if we break up. I'll make sure of that." I stared at her, questioning who this woman was. The person I'd trusted for 14 years was now unrecognizable. She continued, "You'll still get most of my time and affection, but I won't neglect Jim either. He has needs too. I'll work out a schedule." I walked out, ignoring her until we reached the street. She stopped talking when she saw Mrs. Roseman, our neighbor. Charlene hissed at me to come back inside. She watched me leave. After being gone for 2 days, I returned to her smirk. The girls, now 13 and 11, were thrilled to see me. I loved them until they went to bed. After seeing the lawyer, I decided to stay out of the way. Charlene brought me a beer once the girls were asleep. I put it on the table. "I'll never drink anything she gives me again," I muttered. "Glad you came to your senses," she said smugly. "We'll live the same as before. I'll have a date one weekend and come home late, but I won't worry the girls." I cut her off with my rehearsed speech. "Who says I've come to my senses? Here's the deal. I'll stay for the next 4 years until Marissa turns 18, then I'll leave. Darcy might come with me. Either way, I'll be gone." I paused and continued before she could respond. "Sloppy seconds are in my past. Even if you dumped him tomorrow, I wouldn't share a bed with you. I don't sleep with cheaters. I'm moving into a spare bedroom and won't discuss it further. I won't stay celibate, but I won't pursue anyone. If someone offers, I won't refuse, unless she's married. Also, get a job or have your lover pay for your needs. The girls will get what they want, but no extra money will go into our joint account." She looked pale and furious. "You idiot. I still love you and want to share a bed. This is ridiculous. Things will stay the same. Now get ready for bed. If things don't work out with your mistress, remember you'll be popular at Patterson in Maine." On the corner of our street, men gathered to find dates. She ran to the bedroom. I waited a few minutes and opened the door. She was on the phone, startled when I snatched it. "Hey, I have your number. I'll get your address soon. Maybe we'll talk about what we have in common. Don't worry. I won't hurt you. You won't want her knowing she'll cheat on her lover." He hung up and I pocketed the phone. The girls showed up, noticing the cracked door frame. "Oh, that door's been sticking. I'll fix it tomorrow. Go to bed." Charlene said nothing. As she tried to go in, I stopped her. "I'll keep your phone until tomorrow and check your account on the computer." "Good night," she hissed. "Good luck. My accounts are locked up tighter than Fort Knox." I grinned, knowing she forgot the keystroke logger on the computer. Once the kids were old enough, I activated it. Soon, I had all her emails, search terms, and purchases. She was stupid beyond belief. He worked as a permit checker for the county, meeting Charlene when she got a permit for my workshop. Flirting led to lunches and more. I locked up the printouts, sent photos and videos to my office computer, and went to bed, surprisingly sleeping well. I woke up, made breakfast while the girls chatted about school, boys, and music. Marissa, 13, was starting to develop, and boys noticed. We let her walk with groups supervised by a parent. Darcy, 11, was too young for outings but had plenty of supervised socializing. Between sports, dance, band, and drama club, the car was always on the move. They discussed classes when I dropped the first bombshell. "Sorry, girls, I have new responsibilities at work, so Mom will be your main chauffeur for a while. Since she's not working, she can handle it, right?" I said, addressing my daughters. Charlene shot me a deadly look and told the girls, "You might have to ride with friends sometimes." "Why? What's so important that you'd leave your kids on their own? You have all morning, don't you, girls?" I asked. The girls quickly agreed with me. "Yeah, Carol's mom is creepy and Jenny's dad stares at us. Please, Mom," they pleaded. Charlene stayed silent until they left. Once the kids were gone, she started. If you think that's it, you're wrong. You need to use your head. One more thing. I've hooked the house up to sound and video. If your lover comes here, it'll be online in an hour. Have a good day, I informed her. She tried to respond, but I left. Over lunch, I watched the videos of her freaking out, searching for cameras she couldn't find. I listened to her phone call with her lover. He's being a total idiot, baby. He canceled all my cards. Our bank balance is $280, and the electric bill is due today. We may have to resort to plan B, she complained. Her lover hesitated. Let's give it a few days to cool off. If we drop them now, I'll be as bad off as your husband. We need to take it slow, he advised. She wasn't happy. So much for love. How am I supposed to solve this? She demanded. He tried to calm her. I do love you, but we need to be practical. If we leave our spouses, we'll be broke. We need to take it slow. We can meet at lunch, he suggested. Where? He cut me off, so I can't pay for a motel. Let's do it at your place, she proposed. Not a good idea. He says the house is wired. We need to stop and give him a chance to calm down, he cautioned. Their conversation heated up, and she looked confused when they finished. Later, I checked on her. She was locked out of her computer. Prick, she yelled. I decided to tease her and called her. Hi, honey, I said sarcastically. Having a good day? Your computer is locked up tighter than Fort Knox. Your phone will be disconnected by the end of the day. But don't worry, I ordered you a new one. It'll be here tomorrow. You prick, she managed before I hung up. The next day, she tried to use the new phone. It had a safety feature that only allowed calls to specific numbers. The school, my office, my personal phone, our doctors, her mother, my parents, and emergency. Any other number caused the phone to disconnect for 30 seconds and reboot. When she tried to call her lover, I called her. Hi, I guess you've noticed the phone only works for preset numbers. It's hard to reach your lover without a phone and computer. I'd apologize, but I don't lie. Now that you have free time, get a job. You'll need one if you want to shop. I'll buy what the kids need, but you're on your own. Maybe you'll finally wear those clothes with tags still on them. I hung up before she could reply. At home, it was tense. She struggled to stay composed around the girls. Once they were asleep, we went to the basement where she screamed and threatened until she ran out of breath. Then she tried tears. Please, stop being mean. I didn't do it on purpose. He's just a fling. I'll get tired of him and love only you again. It didn't hurt you before, and it won't now. I'm yours most of the time. Come to bed with me and let me prove my love. I laughed. I found a book called The Cheater's Handbook. It lists excuses for cheating. It just happened. It won't affect us. It's just an affair. You're using all of them, and the best part is threatening to destroy my world if I don't agree. I watched her emotions shift. Before she could speak, I continued. If I agree to your terms, I pay the bills and do everything a spouse does while you have fun. As a businessman, that's not appealing. Since you've announced an open marriage, I'll look elsewhere. There's a gym rat sales rep who comes in monthly. I'll take her to lunch and explain we have an open marriage. She might be interested. I knew the jab about her post-kids figure hurt. She needed to hit the gym instead of the mall. Yeah, it was bound to happen, I said. She looked shocked. Why do you need someone else? I still love you, and the thought of you with someone else upsets me. I replied, I've been faithful for 16 years, but that wasn't enough for you. There's a name for men who let their women cheat. Just like there's a name for women who cheat. I'm going to bed. One of us has to work. She was still hissing as I left. I knew I needed a plan before she ruined my life. I had an old friend, a neighbor's son, who was socially awkward but brilliant with computers. We became friends as kids. He's mildly autistic and great at problem solving. He started developing games at 14 and sold his first at 16. Now in his 30s, he's worth around $60 million and married to a woman I introduced him to at a party. She's also high-functioning autistic and incredibly beautiful. At the party, she took his hand and asked, The 17th of June? He nodded and announced, Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting married on June 17th at Emmanuel Lutheran Church. She smiled and they shared their story. I'm June Allison and we met right here at a party. That was the whole story, except she didn't mention it happened at this party. She told him what kind of ring she wanted and the next day, he gave her a credit card. They've been together for 8 years and their daughter is 7. My girls loved her like a little sister. It wasn't unusual to come home to a Lexus SUV in the driveway and see Shauna waiting in the kitchen talking to Charlie. She'd always brighten up and smirk at me. Shauna was an attractive black woman, ex-military with 2 combat tours, and held black belts in 3 disciplines. She was also on a local law enforcement pistol team and won trophies regularly. She used to work for me but was often bored. One day, June came by unannounced to discuss a social event, and Shanna kept her company while I was in a meeting. By the time I was done, I had lost an employee. Shanna moved into a small apartment at June and Harry's mansion. Though Harry and June were wealthy, they didn't go out much. Shanna nearly quit again due to boredom until a freak tried to kidnap their daughter. Shanna stopped him, and from then on she became their bodyguard nanny. Sometimes my girls went on exotic vacations with them, but Charlene always found reasons for us to stay home. June wasn't surprised. She seemed distracted recently. At our last party, I saw her sitting close to another guest in the garden. She recoiled when she saw me and stuck to you for the rest of the evening. I had a feeling I'd just missed her kissing him. I wanted to say something but wasn't sure. I remembered that night. We usually split up to socialize at events. I noticed her absence but assumed she was elsewhere. They pondered my problem and we had a long conversation. "What do you want, Jack?" "I want my girls in my life. That's the most important thing. Beyond that, I want her to regret what she did. It's over between us, but when she realizes it, things will get awful. I don't want to be left without money when the dust settles." Nodding, he asked about the size of my house. They knew, but wanted confirmation. We got the house at a good price in an older neighborhood with a large lot and mature trees. We bought it for about 60% of its value because the owner, an elderly lady, wanted enough to live comfortably in a retirement home. We bought it when the girls were very young and it was their only home. For 5 years, we spent all our money restoring it. Now it was worth twice what we put into it. Charlie loved it and would do anything to keep it. After our divorce, he asked about the basement. We had left it alone, planning to renovate it later for the girls. It was about 1,100 square feet. "Remodel it, Jack. Make it a nice apartment with a separate driveway and wiring. It'll be autonomous from the rest of the house. If you divorce, you'll have your own home and full access to the kids. How can she object? Your lives will be separate, and you'll only see her if you want to. No sane judge would object, especially with children involved." Why didn't I think of that? Because I'm a regular guy, not a genius with a sky-high IQ. Shanna offered another option. "I can kick her back, kick his rear, and mess up their lives in ways you can't imagine. It won't trace back to you." Wow, that's intense. If I go that route, it'll get really ugly. "Let's go with plan C. I don't mind her suffering a bit, but she's the mother of my kids. We'll try this first." "Okay." She didn't like it, but agreed, then went to check on the kids. "She's got a crush on you, Jack. Be careful. Now that you're about to be single, she's thinking about all sorts of things." I looked at June in surprise. I had no idea Shanna had feelings for me. The house was in my name, as I was the sole earner when we bought it. After consulting contractors and architects, I chose the best renovation plan. On my lawyer's advice, I gave Charlie an allowance for lunches and shopping. I also had her Mercedes fitted with GPS and an anti-theft system that let me disable the engine remotely. I noticed her lunches were getting longer, with visits to her lover's house. One day, I tracked her with the GPS and shut off the car near his place. She called me in a panic. "Jack, the car stalled and won't start. I'm stuck," she said, clearly distressed. "Where are you?" I asked, forcing her to admit she was across town. "I was going to Beverly's. I left my bag in her car," she responded. "Isn't Beverly at work?" I questioned. "Yes, but she left the bag in the garage," she explained, trying to cover her tracks. "Try starting the car again, Charlie. It'll probably start right up," I suggested. She drove 5 blocks before it stalled again. When she called back, I told her to get home. She eventually realized what was happening. Later, I recorded her screaming tirade, which hurt our daughter Marissa deeply. Things calmed down afterward. When she asked about the basement, I said, "It's time to set it up for the girls," making her think I agreed with her lifestyle. She used her money to buy a phone, which I bugged. Trouble was brewing. They were planning to leave their spouses and live in my house, with me paying most of the bills. My actions confused their plans. "Maybe we should call it off for a while. He's not reacting as we'd hoped, and I'm afraid he'll do something drastic," she suggested to her lover. He scoffed. "He's weak. You have control because of the kids. He won't do anything to hurt them," he replied dismissively. "Maybe not them, but us for sure. He can be ruthless. He hasn't done anything drastic yet, but you're different. You have a public job. A county official having an affair with a local businessman's wife is newsworthy. If it gets out, you'll be fired. How would you explain it to your wife? Have you told her you're leaving her?" There was a long silence. She continued. I thought you were a man. Tell her before my husband does. He'll analyze everything and hit you where it hurts most. I don't want to see you for at least a month. We both need to think, and I need to repair my relationship with my husband. If we break up, I want him to be as forgiving as possible. He'll be fair, especially with the girls. A month. I'll call you when I'm ready to talk. I had a month to finalize my plans. I set up a meeting with the county commission chairman, a longtime business partner of my father. We met at an upscale steakhouse. After ensuring he was well fed and had a few drinks, I brought up business. I'm thinking of moving my business, Fred. Hanover County has been offering great tax incentives and has suitable vacant buildings. Fred frowned. The thought of 89 jobs leaving his district was concerning, especially after my recent expansion had added 30 employees. This wouldn't look good, especially in an election year. Why? Why would you want to do that? The county has always had a good relationship with you. I don't know what to say, Jack. Given the economy, we likely can't offer any concessions, Fred said, clearly taken aback. I don't need concessions, Fred. I need to rezone my property for expansion, and I don't think it will be easy, especially with permits, I replied, laying out my concerns. Why? The rezoning ads are out, and there have been no objections. It should be a rubber stamp process. What makes you think permits will be a problem? Fred asked, sounding puzzled. Your permit and zoning manager is sleeping with my wife and knows that I know, I stated bluntly. Fred looked deflated. The potential scandal would impact all county departments, especially with our local investigative reporter on the case. Are you sure? Fred asked, hoping it wasn't true. I have video and audio of him in lewd behavior with my wife in his office. Indecent conduct during work hours on county property, I confirmed. What do you want? Fred asked, resigned to the situation. His job. Other than that, nothing for now. I have house remodeling plans that need approval without his knowledge, I specified. I'll arrange for him to attend a training seminar for 3 days. Is that enough time? Fred proposed. That will work, Fred. After the election, I'll expose this. You have time to find an excuse to get rid of him before then, I concluded. Our relationship changed forever. He would now dread my calls. The seminar happened, and I got the contractor to handle the paperwork. Work began the next day. Charlie didn't show much interest, likely preoccupied with other concerns. She tried to rekindle our relationship, claiming boredom and feeling unattractive, but made no excuses for her behavior. What will you do when the girls grow up and leave? Instead of ruining our marriage, you could have volunteered, joined a book club, or gotten a job. But you chose an affair. How's that working out? I won't touch you. Our relationship is dying. Think about life after marriage because it will happen. She ran out in tears. Over the next weeks, she became a model wife and mother. We even went to Disney as a family, which the girls and Charlie enjoyed. The only tension was at bedtime. I made it clear we wouldn't share a bed. She hinted at divorce, so I handed her the separation papers, avoiding a confrontation. I took the girls to the park, explaining that their mother and I were separating, and I was moving to a new apartment in the basement. They cried, but calmed down when I promised they could decorate their new room. When we got home, I sent the girls to check their room. Charlie met me at the door, screaming so loudly that the neighbors called the police. Following my lawyer's advice, I stayed outside and showed the police a copy of the divorce papers. When asked about the argument, I avoided details, seeing judgment in the officer's eyes. Yes, I prepared them to ensure things went smoothly. It may or may not turn into a divorce, but my attorney advised documenting the process. And while you can't ask, this is about infidelity. Hers, not mine. I can show you videos and pictures if needed. The officer glanced at Charlie, who was turning red. So what? That doesn't mean he can abandon me and our children, Charlie protested. Officer, would you mind? I asked, leading her around the house and unlocking the gate I had installed. Charlie demanded to come too, but the officer asked her to stay outside for a moment. I showed her the apartment. She was impressed until we saw the girls huddled on the bed crying. They rushed into my arms and I comforted them. Shh, Mommy's just having a bad day. She's calmer now, right, officer? I said soothingly. The officer nodded and smiled at the girls. Your dad is right. She's much calmer. Your dad and I will talk to her to make sure she says goodbye properly. Outside, the officer spoke to me. You must feel awful, but you did the right thing for your girls. Always put them first. If my ex had been half the man you are, I wouldn't still hate him. When we returned, Charlie was calmer and assured the officer she could control her anger. I told him to put the children's welfare first. How you behave now will shape their view of you both for life. This isn't a divorce yet, but a trial separation. Good luck to both of you, the officer advised. As the officer left, Charlie hissed, "Living room now." I took my time, locking the gate behind me and securing the house. The girls stayed with me until bedtime. I reassured them, and then called Charlie. "Shut up and listen. The girls will come in soon. How you behave with them now will affect your future relationship with them. Humble yourself and think about them," I instructed firmly. I hung up. The girls never called, and the night went smoothly. Charlie hired a lawyer and got a hearing. The judge, a woman in her early 40s, looked tired. "Mr. Sayers, why did you file for divorce?" she asked. "Because my wife has been involved with another man for at least 9 months. She said she wouldn't end the affair, and I had to live with it. We have 2 daughters, 11 and 13, and I didn't want to introduce them to this lifestyle. If needed, I can provide video and audio evidence," I explained. The judge looked at Charlie, who hung her head. She turned back to me with a slight smile. "I heard you moved out. How far are you from your daughters?" the judge inquired. 26 paces, ma'am. I remodeled the basement into an apartment separate from the house. Neither of us enters the other's space without an invitation," I replied. She turned to Charlie. "You need to reflect on your decisions. This is a trial separation, and you can reconcile afterward. I won't overturn it. After 90 days, he can extend, revoke, or file for divorce. Best of luck." As we left the office, Charlie asked, "You're really mad, aren't you?" "Yes, but mostly I feel sadness. I thought we'd grow old together. Now I know that won't happen. My anger wants to say I wasted my years with you, but because of our girls, it wasn't a waste," I said. I got in the car before she could respond. As I left the parking lot, I saw her sitting in the car sobbing. In the past, I would have comforted her, but now I just sighed and drove away. For the next 3 weeks, we coexisted, her upstairs and me downstairs. Charlie got upset when the girls refused to let her into my apartment. She tried to pressure them, but they stood firm. One day, I knocked on her door. She was surprised to see me. Before she could speak, I gave her instructions. "The girls made dinner for us. Follow me and don't ruin it," I said. She followed obediently. The girls, wearing aprons and chef hats, hugged her and led her to our picnic table. They served herb-roasted chicken, grilled vegetables, corn on the cob, and tomato salad with cheesecake for dessert. Charlie complimented their cooking and helped clean up. Echo showed her around the apartment, including their room. Marissa often slept downstairs, and Echo stayed upstairs only on weekends. The apartment was smaller than they were used to, so I limited their access to the man cave, where they hooked up a game system to a big TV and had friends over on Fridays and Saturdays. Most parents knew about our situation but didn't comment. Some moms hinted they wouldn't mind getting involved, which pissed Charlie off, especially when they did it in her presence. One night, after everyone left, she confronted me. "What were you thinking? That woman climbed into your lap while you were eating. I was so embarrassed," she fumed. "Is it as embarrassing as finding out your spouse is having an affair and all her friends know? We were close because it was crowded, and our daughters were right there," I shot back. Charlie was shocked. She hadn't expected this. I avoided contact with Charlie, but monitored her calls and videotaped her daily life. The fact that she had 2 lovers anytime she wanted and none for 3 months kept her busy. She often cried in her sleep. She still had her cell phone, which I had wiretapped and removed restrictions from her regular phone. She thought I was thawing out, not realizing it was the end of our marriage. The election ended, the county manager resigned, and the new appointee promised to clean up the budgets. Bob was quietly let go. He caved to the manager and addressed the county commissioners, who showed him the video I had given them. "Bob, the owner of that video has threatened to make it public and sue the district. We need to fire you without a recommendation to avoid embarrassment and legal issues. If we don't, we'll all be in trouble. You won't find another job in this field. Consider the lesson learned and walk away," the commissioners advised. Bob had no choice, and the local paper didn't write about his departure. He basically disappeared. Charlie called me, wavering between anger and remorse. "Did you have to do that? He has kids. How will he support them?" she asked. "He should have thought about that before sleeping with you. I feel sorry for his kids, but his wife has a good job now and should manage with child support," I responded. "His wife is a stay-at-home mom?" she questioned. "Not anymore. She has an accounting degree and quickly got a good job with a local company," I informed her. "Who would hire someone who hasn't worked in 6 years?" she asked incredulously. "Me," I said, then hung up. Bob's wife, a chubby, pretty woman with a constant smile, had her world shattered. "What am I going to do now? This was our only income. How will I take care of my kids?" she asked, her voice full of worry. Her oldest was in school, and the 3-year-old was climbing on me while I tickled her. "You're going to work for me. I've heard I'm not a bad boss. Even if you don't want to, I'll help you. It's not my fault he betrayed your marriage, but I feel responsible. This offer doesn't commit you to anything. My kids are older and already know, but it still affects them deeply. I'm minimizing the pain but can't take it away. If you want to leave, I'll understand. If you want to support him, I'll pray for you. But this doesn't seem like his first time. I'm sorry for the information I had to give you. If you decide to divorce, I can help with the proof." I left her trying to hold back sobs as she hugged her daughter. She called me 3 days later, voice tight. He wasn't going to tell me he got fired or about the cheating until I confronted him. I thought he would stike me, so I told him, "Go ahead. The bruises will make it easy to get a restraining order and send you to jail." He ran out, and I haven't seen him since. He doesn't have any money because I cleared the accounts. You told me what was happening, and it wasn't done out of spite. Well, not much anyway. My kids need support, and I have enough money to last 3 months. Is that job offer still on the table? She started work the following week. I was thrilled to see how capable she was, and we agreed she would work half the time in the office and half at home. This arrangement helped with childcare. My staff understood the situation when Charlie's picture disappeared from my desk, replaced by one of the girls and me. All but one expressed cautious condolences. Misty despised Charlie because she thought Misty was trying to strike on me, which led to a huge scene at a company party. Misty left in tears, and I confronted Charlie the next morning. Looking back, this happened right after her affair with Bob started. I threatened to cut Charlie off financially unless she apologized to Misty. She did, and they hugged, but it looked like they were searching for a soft spot for a knife. Misty walked into my office, smirking. "I just found out. You can fire me if you want, boss, but I'm glad you're too good for that witch. She was cruel to women when you weren't around. We're going to see who goes after you first. I used to be a dealer at a casino, and if I get the cards, those strumpets don't stand a chance. I like romantic movies, French food, and long massages with warm oils." Misty was a confident, trim redhead who knew how to dress to get noticed without violating office standards. She was 12 years younger than me and in a serious relationship with a nice guy. I had promised to walk her down the aisle and help with the honeymoon, so I knew she had no serious intentions. I responded with jokes. "Since we're alone, I'll go along with that. I've always wondered if your rug matches your curtains," I said playfully. She giggled and ran to the door, then turned around and said, "It would have fit, but I took the carpet off. I like smooth floors better. If you don't believe me, ask Jerry." I promised Misty we'd discuss it next time we met, and her laughter down the hall made me grin all day. I became less serious, and the other women noticed. Misty must have shared something because whenever I was moody, someone would lift my spirits. It got out of hand when our 60-year-old secretary asked how I felt about shaggy wool rugs. Meanwhile, Charlie was miserable. No lover, no husband, just lunch with friends. After I nearly ruined her best friend's marriage by revealing that the friend allowed Charlie to use her house for the affair, her friends distanced themselves. A month later, I found Charlie on her knees, begging to talk. I considered cruel responses, but instead walked into the living room. She followed, looking wary. "Beer?" I offered. She nodded, and I poured her one. She inspected it. "What's this?" she asked. "Real Bach, imported. If you don't like it, I have other options," I replied. "Have you turned violent?" she asked, suspicious. "No, just choosing quality over quantity. I sip beer now. It takes me 2 weeks to go through a 12-pack. The girls prefer sodas and exotic fruits. What about you? Drinking more wine?" I inquired. She blushed and admitted, "Yes, it helps with the loneliness, but I've been drinking less." "Why lonely? Why not go out and have fun?" I asked. She looked shocked. "Doesn't it bother you?" "No more than when you did it while we were together." "At least now you're separated and he's getting a divorce, so it's less embarrassing," I responded. She lowered her eyes. "We haven't been together for a long time." I knew Bob had moved to a small county half a state away, earning much less than before. Child support was difficult for him to pay. She continued, "I know you know more than you admit. Just thinking about being with him makes my stomach churn. If I could do it again, I wouldn't give him the time of day. He wasn't worth what he cost me." "He didn't cost you anything. You threw him in my face and threatened to take everything if I didn't agree," I countered. She started sobbing, which made me angry. "Stop it, Charlie. Tears won't fix this. What do you want? She looked determined. I want you back. I want us to be a family again. I want to feel loved, not empty. I know my promises mean nothing, but please give me a chance to make amends. She sighed and stood up. Think about it. I don't expect an answer now. Will you give me a hug? She asked, looking vulnerable. I hugged her, letting her cry on my shoulder. She thanked me and left. I sat on the couch until Marissa asked, "Where's dinner?" I pointed to the menu near the refrigerator. Pick one, I suggested. She called Darcy, and they debated between Chinese, fried chicken, pizza, or hamburgers, settling on a Creole dish. You can call your mom to join us if you want, I suggested. Darcy ran upstairs and returned with Charlie. They argued until I reminded them, if you don't call soon, it will be too late. They came back with a rented movie and asked if we could watch it in the man cave after dinner. I enjoyed my black and blue salad, watching them chatter and sample everyone's plates, including mine. Darcy tried alligator bites, and they turned out pretty good. After dinner, we sat on the leather couch with the kids between us. They picked a novel, and I laughed until Darcy poked me, saying, "Shut up so we can enjoy it." Both girls fell asleep snuggled against us before the movie ended. I saw Charlie crying softly, trying not to wake Marissa. We kissed the girls goodnight, and I sent them home, saying, I want to stay here for a while. Everyone, even Charlie, kissed me goodnight. I sat there for a long time, wondering if I could ever trust her again, and how I would handle another betrayal. I fell asleep and was still on the couch the next morning. While they finished the movie, I took a shower. Charlie was really trying, cooking my favorite meals and growing closer to the girls, especially after taking them shopping for school. I always gave Marissa one of my cards, and Charlie used it responsibly, even buying herself a couple of outfits within budget. Charlie surprised me by asking for a favor. I've been thinking, Jack. I want to take your advice and get a job or volunteer. Will you watch the girls if I need you? I hugged her and praised her. She had also been going to the gym, getting back in shape. I supported her by buying workout gear and new outfits. Charlie took a volunteer job with a major charity, helping with events from fun runs to formal dinners. Initially, these were mostly daytime events on weekends, and the girls often went with her. Sometimes I joined them, but I had to cut back due to work demands. Charlie got frustrated until I explained, "How would you like it if I dragged you to work with hardly any sleep?" She usually had breakfast with us the next day, showing pictures from her events. I decided to trust her and stop checking the video cameras. We were slowly reconnecting, and I believed she was truly sorry and knew the consequences of another mistake. One day, June called and asked if I could bring the kids over for the weekend. Charlie had a 2-day event, so we kissed her goodbye and headed to June's mansion. Charlie declined the invitation to join us, saying she'd be too tired to drive the extra 35 miles. Harry and June met us at the door. Jack, you're an idiot when it comes to women. Shanna is furious because she sent you signals when the trouble with Charlie started, but you never responded. I know you wouldn't touch another woman until you were divorced, but she doesn't understand why you didn't just let Charlie go. If I did, I'd be just as bad as Charlie. Besides, I did everything with the children in mind and couldn't afford a scandal. How are you getting along with Charlie? Harry asked. Much better. She plays sports, is conservative with money, and volunteers. I still haven't moved back in with her, but we stay overnight sometimes. I have high hopes for the future. Harry sighed, and June avoided eye contact. We need to talk, Jack, after the girls are tucked in for the night. That ruined my mood. The girls didn't notice my quietness, and after dinner they rushed off to watch a movie in their media room. We went to the bar, styled like a Western saloon. Harry brought beers for us and a glass of wine for June. I tasted it, expecting something exceptional for $600 a bottle, but it tasted the same as the $20 stuff. We sipped our drinks in silence until June finally spoke. You know we contribute heavily to several charities, right? We'd rather give money to organizations that improve the world than let the government waste it. Charlie has approached us several times about her new position, and we've always sent a nice check. I had a bad feeling about where this was going. We sometimes attend events for these charities to show support. About a month ago, we went to a black-tie dinner. Charlie was there, busy coordinating everything. We didn't get a chance to talk to her, and I don't think she realized we were there. Near the end of the night, I saw her again. June showed me a picture of Charlie in a dress I'd never seen before, standing next to a guy. David Duncan, June said. He's wealthy attends these events to make connections, and likes seducing married women. He's very good at it. We blended into the scenery and got a few more pictures of them in inappropriate poses. That's why we wanted to talk to you. You're one of our oldest friends, and we didn't want you to make the same mistake again. Most people wouldn't have spoken up, but Harry and June were true friends. Their honesty gave me time to think about my choices. The first betrayal had hurt me badly, but this, after everything we'd been through, cut deeply. Our marriage was over. I thanked Harry and June, then went to bed, expecting a sleepless night, but I passed out as soon as my head hit the pillow. I woke at 6, pondering my next steps. The divorce was back on. I'd call the lawyer on Monday and get things moving. I didn't know when I'd tell Charlie or the girls, but I wouldn't waste time. I'd live in the basement until Marissa graduated, and maybe Darcy would come with me when I moved out. If Charlie had any sense, she'd agree for the girls' sake, but she wasn't known for being reasonable. Time would tell. We spent the next 2 days watching the girls have fun. June had a barn with 6 stalls filled with horses. I was apprehensive about the huge animals, but they were known for their gentle disposition. Harry was allergic to horses, so June, Shauna, the girls, and I went riding. June had booked a picnic at their favorite pond. Harry met us with fishing rods, and I fished for a few hours before heading back. The pond was well stocked, and we practiced catch and release, enjoying the fight the base gave us before gently returning them to the water. While we were fishing, we talked business. I owed my company to Harry and June. It all started when I built a unique shower wall for June to help with her dry skin. As a civil engineer specializing in water systems, I created a wall with protruding nozzles that pulsed and vibrated, delivering soap, water, and lotion. The water pressure, temperature, vibration intensity, and lotion warmth were controlled by a touchscreen with programmable settings for each family member. The shower wall was a hit with June and her friends, leading to 7 orders. Harry helped me patent the design and set up a company. We rented a small industrial building, hired 2 workers, and installed the walls in custom bathrooms. Our wealthy clients loved them, and soon we were catering to actors, sports figures, singers, and even 2 former first ladies. 5-star hotels started installing them in luxury suites, and sports teams requested large units for locker rooms. Harry ensured we got international patents, and we successfully sued companies in France and Portugal for infringement. When I decided to shield the company from Charlie's influence after the divorce, I sold it to Harry, making a nice profit. I continued working there as a manager with a good salary. In the divorce, I planned to offer Charlie 60% of our assets in exchange for waiving any other claims like alimony and child support. I had already set up an escrow account to cover the kids' needs. She would get the house and $800,000 after the girls turned 18, and I would pay all utility bills until then, unless she remarried. My lawyer thought I was being too kind, but I was thinking of the girls. In the end, Charlie would have the house and $2.6 million. When she was served the divorce papers, I included a note. I was ready to forgive you, Charlie, thinking you had learned your lesson. I guess I was wrong. I'm offering you a lucrative deal, and you'll come out of it well. Just sign the papers and we'll move on. We'll share custody until the girls reach adulthood. I'll live in the apartment until Marissa turns 18, and Darcy can decide where she wants to live when she's 16. Take the papers to your attorney. Don't be stupid about it. This will cost you money you may want to keep. Good luck with future relationships. Just don't use me as a reference. I sent the same pictures to his wife. This is an attachment alienation state, and a good attorney could take most of your settlement. Let's hope she's not that harsh. I didn't feel the need to sign it. Charlie begged and pleaded, but it was getting her nowhere. Please, Charlie, spare me the excuses from the cheater's handbook. You wanted someone else, and you got it. I refuse to be your backup plan. It's over. Let's not make things harder on the girls. Sign the papers, and when the kids are older, I'll be gone, and we'll only see each other at weddings and baptisms. She cried, then got angry. Her lawyer was slick and advised her to take the deal, explaining that Charlie had come to her because she was one of the best, and the best didn't come cheap. I might get more than you think. Is it worth it? He has documentation of both affairs. This isn't a no-fault state. He can charge you with infidelity, and you'll end up with a lot less. Charlie countersued for mental cruelty and claimed I had affairs with Shanna and Brenda, Bob's ex-wife. Brenda threatened to sue her for slander. Shanna warned her to stop or face consequences, hinting at severe repercussions. By this time, Charlie was cornered. When this is over, I'm going after him, Shanna told her. He's a good man, and I'm still young enough to have kids. Just be warned. Shanna walked away, leaving Charlie shaken. She stopped her actions the next day. A few weeks later, a woman I didn't know showed up at work about my divorce. After turning on the video and audio recording, I invited her in. She was attractive, about 10 years older than me. I shook her hand and led her to the couch. "I'm sorry to come unannounced, Mr. Sayers. I'm Barbara Duncan. I believe your wife knows my husband." It was clear her husband had been with Charlie. I took her hand. "I apologize for my wife's actions, Mrs. Duncan. It's not your fault. They were two grown people with a history of infidelity. I'm here to ask a favor. I need photos and testimony for my divorce. Would you mind sharing them? Give me your attorney's name and I'll send them over." She sighed. "I don't have one yet. When things went south, he emptied all the accounts, leaving me with just enough for a house and clothes for our son. I wasn't working, and my future looked bleak. I called my lawyer. "John, I've got a new client for you, the idiot's wife. I'll cover the expenses. Text her when you're free." Barbara looked shocked, and I grinned. "Don't worry, he's good at what he does. If there's anything else you need, just ask." She began to cry. I gave her tissues and called Brenda, who understood what Barbara was going through. Brenda came to the office, and I introduced them. "Brenda, Barbara, you have something in common. My wife slept with both of your husbands. I'll give you some time." I left them alone for 15 minutes. When I returned, both women kissed me on the cheeks. "I was telling Barb what a nice guy you are and that I'm coming for you after the divorce. Now, Barb needs a job until her divorce is finalized. She has a degree in international business relations and speaks French, Italian, and German. She's perfect for the new position you mentioned. You can thank me with a big bonus in my next check." "Don't worry, I'll take care of it," I said, appreciating Brenda's help. Charlie flew into a rage. "What's wrong with you? Is this revenge? Treating me like crap while helping these women? You're pissing me off. I've had enough." "Charlie, shut up. If you don't, I'll withdraw the offer and make you fight for every penny. You ruined these women's lives. This is on you. Don't talk to me again unless it's through my lawyer. The girls will tell me if they need anything. Understand?" She started crying. "But honey, let me tell you what you can be sure of. The divorce will go through. Before the ink dries, I'll be looking for someone else. The girls need a positive role model. Go ruin another marriage or two. When you're done, send the women to me, and I'll help them. Goodbye, Charlie." And I mean that literally. My rage startled her. She backed into a corner, silent. I left without closing the door. The girls hated the situation. They didn't see their mother for 3 weeks until I convinced them to spend a weekend away with her. "She's still your mother. She loves you. Not seeing you is liquidating her. If it's too hard, you can come back. Do it for the family." Darcy sighed. "We'll go, but you're wrong, Papa. She betrayed us just like she betrayed you. We'll never be the same. Love you, Daddy." She hugged me tightly and walked away. Kids are so smart and world-weary these days. I considered therapy for all of us. It took 11 months and $600,000 before Charlie gave up. She asked for an hour to socialize before signing the papers. I called her. "What can you say to make a difference? If you're sorry, I accept. Otherwise, sign the papers. No more drama." Darcy was now 12 and a half, a rare beauty. Marissa, almost 15, looked like a model. Pool and man cave parties continued, with mothers keeping an eye on the boys. Charlie never offered to come. I paid the house bills until Junior left for college. The house would be sold and proceeds divided equally. Charlie would still have enough to live comfortably if she was careful. Before the ink dried on my divorce papers, Brenda pursued me. I gently stopped her. "I'd love to, but you work for me. It could get awkward," I explained. "I'll quit. You'll get my resignation in 5 seconds," she replied, half joking. I laughed. "You love your job. No one will pay you as much as I do." "I could marry a banker," she teased. "You could, but it might take time. Please stop. Maybe you'll find a Frenchman. There's a Pierre, Jean, or Claude out there for you," I suggested. Brenda found another accountant, and they're happy. Barbara took my advice, found a Frenchman, and moved to Nice to head up the company's European division. C'est la vie. I muddled through for 9 months, dated a few women, but nothing meaningful. Harry and Jane supported me, I visited the girls, and we had fun. Shanna left, saying it was time to move on. I was a little disappointed. 13 months after the divorce, Charlie got engaged to a guy she met through her volunteer work. After her affair and divorce, the charity hinted she should leave, and she did. I met him a few times, and he seemed decent. The best part was he was single when they met, so she didn't ruin another marriage. I wondered how truthful she was about her past, but that was none of my business. The girls liked him. He was funny and didn't try to be a father figure. Sometimes he took them to the movies or out to eat while their mom worked. I didn't feel threatened and was glad they were adjusting. One day they came home sad and it all came out. Josh is out of their lives. He broke off the engagement, Marissa said. I asked why. Really, Dad, it's Mom. What do you think happened? Marissa replied, exasperated. I'd gotten used to it. I could talk to Charlie politely, but didn't encourage her. I'd removed all surveillance equipment, though I was tempted to reinstall it. Thankfully, I didn't. 17 months after the divorce, I came home to find Shanna visiting the girls. Marissa was 16. I bought her a milestone car, a four-wheel drive Jeep, which was safer than most cars teenage girls wanted. Darcy jumped up to me. Daddy, guess what? Shanna wants to take us camping. Can we go? Darcy asked excitedly. I couldn't imagine her camping. Shanna grinned. I grinned back. You want to kidnap my kids and leave me abandoned? I joked. You can come too. I'll need help managing 9 girls between 10 and 16, Shanna responded. I doubt you'll have trouble. You'll organize them like a military camp, I said, knowing Shauna's knack for order. Come with us, Daddy. We'll need someone to carry things and cook. You don't expect us to do that on vacation, do you? Marissa added, smiling. I ordered pizza while they looked at camping gear online. Shauna checked on them every few days until the trip. She had them practice setting up tents until they could do it blindfolded. Star often joined, showing her parents' brains and her mother's looks. I hadn't spoken to Charlie in months. She had a few men over, and the girls stayed with me on those nights. One day she called wanting to talk about the girls. I met her at the door. Stop turning my girls against me. I'm sick of hearing about Shanna, Charlie demanded. I laughed. And this is coming from someone with a parade of lovers? You think the girls don't know? Stay out of my business, Charlie. You look awful. Get back to the gym. Get your hair done. Take care of yourself, at least for the girls. Anything else? Have a brilliant day and leave me alone, I retorted. As I walked away, Shauna pulled up, and the girls clapped when they saw her. It was amusing to see Miss Super Control blush. Why did you do that? Shanna asked. I smiled. Because I've always wanted to, and it surpassed all my fantasies. I'd like to try it again to make sure it wasn't just a one-time thing, I replied. We had dinner, and after the girls went back inside, I cleaned up. Shanna gave me a look that said, how could something that took so long to coordinate be fun? Come with us, Daddy. We'll need someone to carry things and cook. You don't expect us to do that on vacation, do you? Marissa added. I ordered pizza while they looked at camping gear online. Shauna checked on them every few days until the trip. She had them practice setting up tents until they could do it blindfolded. Star often joined, showing her parents' brains and her mother's looks. I hadn't spoken to Charlie in months. She had a few men over, and the girls stayed with me on those nights. One day, she called wanting to talk about the girls. I met her at the door. Stop turning my girls against me. I'm sick of hearing about Shanna, Charlie demanded. I laughed. And this is coming from someone with a parade of lovers? You think the girls don't know? Stay out of my business, Charlie. You look awful. Get back to the gym, get your hair done, take care of yourself, at least for the girls. Anything else? Have a brilliant day and leave me alone, I retorted. As I walked away, Shanna pulled up and the girls clapped when they saw her. It was amusing to see Miss Super Control blush. Why did you do that? Shanna asked. I smiled. Because I've always wanted to, and it surpassed all my fantasies. I'd like to try it again to make sure it wasn't just a one-time thing, I replied. We had dinner, and after the girls went back inside, I cleaned up. Shauna gave me a look that said, how could something that took so long to coordinate be fun? Shauna drove Star and her 2 friends in her four-wheeler. Marissa drove her 2 friends in hers, and Darcy took her buddies in hers. I drove a support truck loaded with gear. According to Shauna, it took 4 hours to get there, but it was worth it. We were completely isolated. If they needed the bathroom sooner than the 30-minute walk, they'd have to imitate a bear. Shanna took charge, handing out orders, and soon 4 tents were set up. I was tasked with putting the food into bear-proof containers and locking the coolers in the cars overnight. Shanna sprayed bear repellent around the tents and cars. Next, I assembled the charcoal grill. By lunchtime, everything was ready. Lunch consisted of cold appetizers and sodas. The girls giggled and looked out over the lake while changing into their bathing suits. I drove to the marina, got the keys to the biggest pontoon boat, and went through an hour-long briefing. The boat was huge, designed for 18 adults, so 9 girls and 2 adults were no problem. The next morning we made breakfast. Shanna took over, delegating tasks to the older girls. The air filled with the smell of roasting sausages while I chopped peppers, onions, and ham for an omelet. Shanna used a large cast-iron skillet to make delicious buckwheat pancakes with fresh blueberries. We all ate until we were full, then cleaned up, making it look like we'd never been there. Shanna took the girls fishing, teaching each one how to fish. Everyone caught something, and we took endless pictures. The girls hinted they wanted to visit stores like Academy or Dick's soon. We lazed around until lunchtime, then headed back to the marina. Shanna made the girls wear sneakers and cover up their swimsuits with shorts and t-shirts, which they grumbled about until they realized we were going to a restaurant. We had Italian food, sharing plates of spaghetti, ravioli, and meatballs. We walked down to the piers to admire the boats. The girls squealed when they saw the big boat was for them and boarded it, groaning when Shanna made them put on life jackets. "We have a student driver," she said, grinning. "Best not to take any chances." We slowly rocked the boat until everyone was comfortable. The girls just laughed and had fun. Shanna got on deck and adjusted her top after shouting across the lake. I didn't say a word. We anchored in a cove with a slide that made a splash into the water. The girls loved it, coming off two at a time, screaming. One girl, who couldn't swim, stayed back until Shanna gave her a life jacket and went down the slide with her. They both screamed in delight. The cove was shallow with a nice beach. We docked, chopped wood, and got out the cooler. Soon they were roasting sausages and marshmallows while sipping sodas. Shanna kept an eye on Vicky, talking quietly with her. Later, we sat on the boat with our legs hanging off the side, and I kissed Shanna's cheek. "For what?" she asked. "For helping Vicky. You're going to be a super mom," I replied. Tears filled her eyes. She jumped into the water and swam away, returning later. I helped her untangle the girls and clean up. "Did I offend you? If so, I apologize," I said, concerned. She shook her head and smiled faintly. "No, you didn't offend me. It's just... no one has ever said that to me before. Thank you," she replied softly. She stroked my cheek. "You didn't say anything wrong. You just gave me a compliment no one ever has. I didn't know how to take it." She leaned against me, holding my hand. I couldn't remember being so pleased. We had a light dinner the girls had prepared, insisting Shanna and I relax. We snuggled in camp chairs while Shanna told me about her new job at a security firm she co-owned with fellow veterans. She was succeeding but didn't enjoy the irregular hours and travel. I told her about selling my company, much to her surprise. "It doesn't bother me. It started as helping a friend, and Harry and June pushed me into it. They're loyal friends, but I didn't love it, and money didn't mean much to me. I just wanted enough to provide a good life for my family and later for my girls." Shanna sighed and took my hand. "I know you don't show it, but Charlie hurt you deeply. I was married once and thought my husband was my life partner until I came back from a trip and found out he was divorcing me for what I thought was a good friend, and she was 6 months pregnant. It still hurt, even though he waited until I got home. I was shocked, as she had never mentioned this before. It made me sad, but I understood pain management thanks to Charlie. We lay in the chairs until dinner was served. I was glad my girls knew how to use the grill, as most of the others were clueless. Shanna and I did the dishes while the girls sang around the fire. It was nice sitting in the dark with no one else around. The girls wanted a pontoon boat as a combined birthday gift, and I didn't resist the suggestion. I realized I was the happiest I had been in a long time and fell asleep with a smile. After packing up, we made sure the campground was clean and left with great memories. Marissa drove Shanna's SUV, another girl drove hers, and Shanna rode with me. We held hands in silence until Shanna finally spoke. "I've been thinking about this for years. Let's cut to the chase. You're going to love me, marry me, give me more children, and spend the rest of your life with me. If you object, I'll drive away and you'll never see me again. By the way, I love you. How do you feel about that?" "Well, let me think. Okay, I've thought about it. Tomorrow we'll go ring shopping and then you can start house hunting. I refuse to start married life in my ex's basement. Bring the girls in for counseling when you're ready. Is that okay? Oh, and to make it official, Shanna Hunter, will you marry me?" She sat in silence until tears started, then texted someone and asked me to stop the car. She jumped out, pulled me out, and Marissa looked at her phone, reading a message. "Operation was a success. Great job, troops." "Oops, you weren't supposed to see that," Shanna said, hugging me. I sighed as I closed my computer. Today was my 60th birthday and my last day of work. I was retiring after making a lot of money. Darcy got her MBA and started working for Harry, eventually becoming global CEO. Marissa became an engineer specializing in bridge construction and traveled the world. She found a partner, and they adopted 2 little girls, my only grandchildren. Darcy, still married to her work, grew close to an engineer through her sister. My musings were interrupted when my wife walked in with our twin daughters. They were graduating high school soon and had chosen different colleges. Shanna was right. We had beautiful chocolate children. Shanna retired on our wedding day and took over her company before selling her share when she got pregnant. Harry's empire grew huge, often making significant business decisions based on her information. She helped me gather photos, stopping at one of our wedding pictures with June as matron of honor and 9 bridesmaids. 3 16-year-olds, 3 13-year-olds, and 3 10-year-olds, all in elegant dresses and combat boots, holding a sign that read, "Operation Successful." We were heading back to our home on the lake, where we had vacationed for years. There were 2 huge pontoons and a speedboat at the dock, and the friends from that trip were frequent visitors, bringing their families. It was clear we wouldn't get much privacy, but that was the way things were. What happened to Charlie? Not that I cared, except for how it affected my children, but the house went to her. She wasn't happy, but soon realized her complaints were ignored. What really ticked her off was that a house went for sale a block away from us, and Shanna decided we'd start our family there. $500,000 later, she had a house featured in magazines, with a full-size in-ground pool and hot tub that we enjoyed until almost worn out in the first year. Custody was easy since the girls could walk between houses, though they preferred staying with us, especially after their sisters were born. Charlie married twice more. The first marriage ended after 2 years because she was caught cheating again. Luckily, she had a prenup. Brenda and Barb offered her ex-wife a job. They used the second house's basement as a playroom, so maybe Charlie got what she wanted all those years ago. We see her occasionally, but she's quiet and resentful. Time hasn't been kind to her, and old habits die hard. She still prefers the mall over the gym. "Dad, hurry up. If we start now, we'll still have time to swim at the lake for an hour or 2. I grinned, picked up my box, and walked out with my family to start the best part of my life's journey.